Hi, so today is my weekly tip for the community. And again, I encourage all of you to share your tips and your thoughts and your ideas on things you want to talk about or questions you may want to ask. But let me start with my tip. And it's based on a question that came up on my weekly call, which was around how do you deal with having a different opinion on something important with people that are close to your family. So, for example, if I have a very different opinion on something that's important to me, in my family, and let's say my family's having a discussion, and I feel like I can't talk, or they're trying to coerce me into my decision. And this stuff happens all the time now, particularly when you talk about politics or social issues. Like even in my own family, talking to my mom to convince her to wear a mask everywhere, and and then if she doesn't, I'll get upset with her, or she gets upset with me for the choice I'm making with my life. And so that's it's a common thing that happens with a lot of people. But what I would say to this is that it's a very challenging thing because you don't want to upset people. You don't want to start a ruckus. You don't want to start this conversation that makes people uncomfortable. But if it's something really important to you, then you have to find a way to say it. And so, I've had that situation where, and I'll give you two examples of situations. So one example is where I'm in a room with a lot of my cousins, and they're sharing stuff that I definitely don't agree with. Something about a societal issue, or they may say something about masks, or honestly, maybe someone says something kind of racist or misogynistic. Do I speak up? And I want to, but sometimes I don't, and so I feel bad about that. But because it's very uncomfortable and awkward, particularly among my cousins because they're all older than me, and most of my cousins are older than me, not all of them. And it's and sometimes you have to pick your battles in terms of what you want to talk about. I do the same thing with my parents. There's certain battles that I'll speak up and say something, and other times where I won't. And sometimes when I don't, I feel bad about it. But the tip I want to give you is how do you bring something up when you're nervous or concerned about the difference of opinion? So the way to do it is to set up a courageous conversation. And the way you set up a courageous conversation is two things. One is you ask the question to set up the context is one. And number two, depending on the situation, you ask for time to deliver it on a different point. So, for example, let's say you're having a major difference of opinion with your partner, and let's say your partner is doing something that's really upsetting you, and it's kind of sensitive. It's been brought up a couple times. Maybe you think your partner is being sexist or something. So one of the things you can do is say, "Listen, I'd like to have a courageous conversation with you. Something that it's awkward to talk about, in the moment. But if you're open to it, I'd like to actually book time with you, maybe in a couple of days, maybe this Saturday or next week on Tuesday, and we can have a talk where you can hear what I have to say about something that's concerning me. Are you cool with that?" And that's what you do. You set that courageous conversation up in advance, and you set the context that it's where I really want I'm something that's troubling for me to say, awkward for me to say, but I really want you to hear me out and and listen to me, and you set that up, and that's one way to do it. Now, if it's something that's immediate, you can also say something more like, um, uh, I basically say, "Look, I'd like to share my opinion. Would you be open to listen to it?" And if they say no, which they shouldn't, then it's not the right time to bring it up. But you say, "Listen, I have something to share. I like to share my opinion. It might be different from what you guys might think, but I want to hear. I want to give my take. Are you open to listening to it?" And you set that context right away. And if you get any hesitation or any sort of like dismissal or anything sort of that, then you know what? It's not worth the time. Just let it go. I say, well, whenever you're ready to listen to me, I'm going to exit this conversation now. But whenever you're ready to listen to me, I'd love to, be heard too, and have my voice heard. And what you're doing is you're asking for respect. You're asking for an empathetic and understanding ear, and you're setting the intention of I'm trying to have a meaningful conversation about this topic. And you don't have to tell them what the topic was. You're just saying I want to have a meaningful conversation with you about something. And most people, the right people, and the people that care and matter, they'll eventually come around. Now, if it's more of an abusive or really difficult or traumatic situation where you're fighting with your family or close friends about whether it's wearing masks, maybe like two people are anti-maskers and two or anti-vaxxers, and two of them are mask wearing people, or You know, there one's a Trump supporter, one's a Joe Biden supporter, or that one is politics and social justice stuff really gets in the way sometimes. So I think again that's where you set the expectation in the future. Say, listen, I'd like to have a courageous conversation with you in a couple of days about topic X, and you can put up the topic. And I want to be heard. I want to be listened to. I want to be empathized with. I want to be understood. Are you willing to do that? And if it's someone that is you know, not what's who, who's combative, and some of that, then you say, look, I need to say this, and you can take it however you want, because I'm not responsible how you feel, but I want to tell you how I'm feeling. Okay, and if you don't want to set a time for later, then I'm going to tell you right now. So here it goes, and just do it. And sometimes that's what you got to do. And how that person responds and how that person reacts, that's not your responsibility, but sometimes it requires you to make that bold move and just say what you need to say. So these are all different ways in order to do that. I hope it answers the question. What do you guys think about this? I mean, share your thoughts below, comment, let me know what you think about this particular topic. And if there's more follow-ups to this with this conversation, I'm happy to answer more questions, or other people in the group might want to answer questions too. All right. Thanks so much. Have a great day.